What is going on, guys? PXCam20 back in with a brand new video. We are here again back at Sette Corsa Competizione as we are racing around Autodromo de Monza as we are coming out of the pit road right here to come into our qualifier. 15 minutes for this qualifying session. I decided to wait in the pits for 5 minutes to see what the time was. What we were trying to aim here. As you can see, we already have put in a time of a 151.8, but I knew that I could go a little bit faster as the pole position time I believe was a 149.0 at the end of the day. So I know we can get it to the 149s if we can get a good lap here and get a slipstream tow from a car ahead of us, but we're gonna see what we can do here as we are now coming into our warm-up lap. Now, before we jump into the rest of qualifying, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough promoting myself. Let's see what we can do here for the rest of qualifying. Now, as we're coming out of our fastest flyer lap, we are coming to Parabolica as we're coming out of here. Going onto the straight, let's see what we can get here for our time, as we are about 1.20 seconds ahead of our fastest lap time, and we are able to get it down to a 150.6, so about a second and a half slower from the pole position time. But as we wait here, we actually do not complete another lap, as we did go a little bit wide on one of the corners and invalidate our lap. So waiting here as we are just waiting for the qualifying session to end. We have about 27 seconds left before the qualifying session ends, and you can see right now we are sitting in 5th place with the 151.5, I believe that's what I have right now, as we are about 1.5 seconds away from pole position. Finishing the qualifying session now, we are going to confirm ourselves in 5th place position as we now jump into the race. So as we now jump into the race, we are going into our grid slot here as we are starting right behind the Ferrari ahead of us in 5th place. Going to Parabolica, we're staying on the left-hand side as we're going to be starting in 5th place here and just wait for the green lights to go so that we can get our moves on these cars ahead of us. So staying at 70 kilometers per hour, we're waiting for the green lights here as we are trying not to go over on the kilometers, and we get the green lights now. Away we go as we are now heading down to the straight. Going past the start finish line, we are making a little bit of contact with the car on the inside. We're going 3 wide now as we're heading down the straight, leading us into turn number 1. Heading into the first chicane, we're looking for our braking zone as we brake very, very early. Let go of the brakes just a tad bit, but a little too much as we are going in between, getting sandwiched in. Make a little bit of contact with the car on the left-hand side as we are now getting turned, and we get spun out right here, and so does a Mercedes right behind us. So 2 cars right here spun out, heading into the first chicane as we're waiting for these cars to pass us, get back onto the track, and we have lost about 10, maybe 11 positions here as we are now demoted all the way back, I believe, into 16th place as we're looking now, as there's a couple cars heading off into the outside, and it says right now that we're in 13th place. We're waiting for everything to update as we are losing positions now, going back to 14th and 16th right there. So currently we are in 16th position out of 20 cars as we're heading to the second chicane. Coming to the second chicane, you can see that Huracan getting a little bit loose right there as he pushes out the Porsche right ahead of him, and they're going side by side now as we head into Lesmo 1 for the first time. Going to Lesmo 1 right here, we're making a move onto the inside of the Porsche as he gives us the inside here, and he gets a little bit loose now as he cuts onto the inside, goes back into the outside, and we get super lucky there that we do not get contact and get spun out there as we are now in 15th place and setting our sights on the Huracan right ahead of us as we head down the straight, leading us into a Ascari chicane for the first time. So as we come down the straight, leading us into a Ascari, we're braking right after the 100-meter board. As we hit our first apex, going to our second apex, you see there's a couple of cars that have spun out. Not sure what happened with them, but we are coming out of the Ascari, and you can see there's a car sitting in the middle of the track. We go into the inside, make a dire move, and we actually overtake that car and the Huracan now as the Huracan's getting right behind us, gets into our slipstream, and we're going to see if we can defend him here heading into Parabolica as we shift into the inside, brake as late as we can, and you can see the Huracan now is on the outside of us as we go side by side coming out of Parabolica. Who's going to be able to get a great exit as we are able to do so here, but the Huracan is going to get into our slipstream and see if he's going to make a move onto the outside and to the inside here. He's going to get a huge head of steam on us as the car does go into the pits. Actually, a couple of cars coming to the pits, but heading down the straight here, the Huracan's getting a great run on us as he's going onto the outside. We defend our inside positions. We brake right after the 150-meter board. Going to the first chicane, we're going side by side with the Huracan, but he misses his braking point, goes straight into the inside, cuts the chicane, and he actually just stopped right there, so not sure exactly what happened there. He just stopped in the middle of the chicane, and that is a position easy for us now as we are setting our sights on the McLaren right ahead of us going into Lesmo 2. So coming to Lesmo 2, we are on the second lap now as we are staying right behind him. We get a very great exit onto the outside, but he kind of cuts us off there, so we have to fall right behind him here as we're staying right behind him, getting into the Ascari chicane. staying into the slipstream. We're getting a pull on him as we're making a move onto the inside, making a move onto the outside, but we're going to stay right behind him here as we head into a Scar chicane. Take it very conservative, as we do not want to make a fool of ourselves. Try to make a move onto the inside, accidentally spin him out as we're coming out now of the Scar chicane. So coming out of Scar chicane, there's actually a little incident ahead of us. There's yellow flags all around us. You can see there's one car spun out, another car on the inside onto the grass area, and we somehow find our way through that without making any contact. But we do lose some time on the McLaren ahead of us, as we did slow down just a little bit in case of one of them did spin back out onto the middle of the racetrack. But luckily we were able to get through that cleanly, but the McLaren got it through cleaner. So heading down to a Scar chicane, we are starting to get pressured from another McLaren behind us, as we are now in a McLaren sandwich going to a Scar chicane. We're heading out of the Scar chicane. We're staying right behind the white McLaren ahead of us, as the car right behind us got a really bad entrance, and we are able to pull away from him now, as we are gaining a lot of time on the McLaren ahead of us, staying on the slipstream as we head into Parabolica. We shift our sights to the inside here, as we're going to try to brake as late as we can now. Right after the 100-meter board, we brake as late as we can as we take a look onto the inside. He gives us the space here as we're now going side by side, coming out of Parabolica. The McLaren right behind us goes a little bit wide as he goes into the left-hander, or left part of the Parabolica. And we're on the inside here now, going side by side, as it's going to be a drag race to the line, and we're still in 9th place now as we are going side by side with the McLaren. But he gets a lot better of a run than us going into the first chicane, as you can see how much he's actually pulling away as we head into the first chicane. We try to brake as late as we can, and we actually outbrake him going into the first corner, and we are now positioned number 8 as we get around the McLaren, and we're going to try to see if we can pull away from him now and try to catch up to 7th place now as we come into Curva Grande. So going into Curva Grande, we're going to shift a little more forward up as we head into further into the race, and you can see that in doing so we are currently in 6th place. There's a couple of cars that came into the pits, and we are looking at the fuel right here, as we only have about 5 laps left of fuel, but there's about 7 laps left in this race. So we're going to do everything we can to try to save some fuel. As we come out of Lesmo 1, you see there's a Nissan GTR slowing down, and we get very close to making an overtake and contact with him now as we come out of Lesmo 2. So not exactly sure what happened to the Nissan. Probably got loose, spun out, or got taken out by a car ahead of him. But lucky for us, that is 5th place right ahead of us, and we can easily get an overtake on him if we can get onto the inside now as we come into a Scar chicane. So coming to the first corner now of the Scar chicane, heading into the second and third part of it, you can see we're gaining some time on the Nissan as we go a little bit wide, head straight into the dirt road, and we lose a little bit of time now on the Nissan. But getting into the slipstream now, we're starting to pull up just a little bit closer now as we head into Parabolica. Shifting to the inside as we see the McLaren's right behind us. We brake as late as we can. We make the overtake on the Nissan GTR. The McLaren tries to make a move onto the inside, but the GTR cuts him off, and we are able to now get 5th place away from the GTR. As again, we are just trying to save fuel now and set our sights on the 4th place driver ahead of us. So let's see if we can do that now as we jump a little bit forward into the race. Jumping forward now, we are heading to first chicane as we have about 8 minutes left into the race. We overshoot the corner. As you can see, the McLaren does too right behind us, and we're able to pull away just a tad bit as we come out of the first chicane. But the McLaren is now on our rear bumper in our slipstream, and we have nobody ahead of us to help us out as we are still saving fuel. So our engine mapping is pretty low. So if we go into the straight, we're going a lot of kph slower than the McLaren as we head into the second chicane. Going to the second chicane, the McLaren actually outbrakes himself, goes wide on the second chicane, goes into the AstroTurf, and we're able to make an overtake, retake 5th place away from the McLaren as we now head into Lesmo 1. So very, very dire, critical situation right there. As again, we are still saving fuel, going very slow on the straights, and he is just doing everything he can to get around us now. As we come into Lesmo 2, he gets very, very close to us, almost makes contact with us on the back bumper, but luckily he slowed it down just enough, but we get a great exit because of that. And now we are starting to pull away here as we are now coming into Ascari. So heading to the Ascari chicane, you can see on the rear view mirror that he is a little bit ways away from us as we head into the Ascari chicane. But again, he gets very, very close as we head into the first part. Into the second part, he actually gets loose, spins out, heads straight into the wall. And that is 6th place away from us as we now have all the time in the world to try to hold off this 5th place, as we are going to jump a little more forward into the race with 3 minutes left. And unfortunately, we are not going to have enough fuel. As you can see on the bottom right, the fuel meter is just blipping in and out, in and out. As you can see now, there's a couple of cars right behind us that are very, very close to us, so they could overtake us easily just because we don't have enough power going into the engines, as we're trying to save some fuel as we come out of Ascari chicane. And we're now setting ourselves up to come into the pits and just put a splash and go, and hopefully not lose that many positions now as we're coming into Parabolica. So Jumping into the beginning part, Parabolica, we're braking right after the 100-meter board, as we are going to have to come into the pits here. And you can see how close the car right behind us is now starting to get close to our back bumper. And we're going to come in here, sacrifice our 5th place position to do a little splash and go as we head into the pits, brake as late as we can. And I don't know if we made it in time for us to get it down to 50 kph. But we're going to see right here if we get a penalty, as we're going to fast forward now down the pit lane, head to our pit stall, put in the fuel, brake right in our stop, put in some fuel, wait about 10 seconds, and we are a go now. As I forget to put the pit limiter, and we actually go a little bit over the 50 kph, so I think we're going to get a not disqualification, but a penalty here. And we do get a 3-lap stop and go penalty, so we're going to hold off 9th place here and just race it all the way to the end and not worry about the penalty here as we're heading to the first corner. Going to the first corner, we actually underfueled our car just a tad bit, so we're going to have to save just a tad bit more fuel, as 10th place is right behind us, about I think 5 seconds away from us, as we have a lap down car right behind us. So we're going to see if we can keep the lap down car behind us. If not, if he gets around us, we're going to use him as a pick and just use him as a slipstream to save some fuels. We're now coming out of Curva Grande. So coming out of Curva Grande, there's actually a car parked on the right hand side. Not sure if he just gave up or if he ran out of fuel, but we're able to get around him easily, as there's still a yellow flag on the first sector. So not sure why he's just sitting on the racetrack, but we're able to get it now to the final lap here as we're coming out of Curva Grande. So coming out of Curva Grande on the final lap, again, we're saving fuel, so we put the engine mapping to the very highest setting, as we are now on engine mapping level 12. And you can see how much time we're losing to the cars ahead of us and how much time the cars behind us are gaining. As you can see, the revs are just slowly working their way up as we head into Lesmo 1. So coming out of Lesmo 1, heading into Lesmo 2, there's a car right behind us, but luckily it is a lap down car. So again, we're going to try to use him as a strategy, guys, to stay right behind him, and hopefully we can use him as a pick to get some slipstream off, save more fuel. But unfortunately, right here, you can see how much time he was able to just pull away from us because of the difference between the engine mappings. He probably has a engine mapping 1, and we have ours right now at engine mapping 12. So basically we're unable to stay with him on the rear bumper as we're heading to the Ascari for the final time. Coming out of Ascari chicane, there's a car right behind us, and it's actually 10th place, so he's getting closer and closer to us. It's actually, no, he's 9th place now, so somehow we were able to get one position up. So we are now in 8th place. As you can see, he's still right behind us as we're heading to Parabolica. We've switched the engine mode all the way to 1 as we're going side by side into Parabolica. We brake as late as we can, as he's now on the outside of us. Going on to the inside right here as we come out Parabolica. Are we going to have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race, as we only have about 100 yards left to the start finish line? We run out of fuel right before the start finish line, and we lose right behind the Porsche, as he was able to overtake us right before the finish line. Very, very close, and just very unlucky on our part, as we did everything we can to save enough fuel to make it to the end, only to run out about 50 yards before the start finish line. So again, just very unlucky on our part, but hey, it's part of the game. Just have to learn what we can and try to implement it to the next race, and hopefully we can start fighting for wins. So enjoying the hell out of Assetto Corsa right now, as this game is just so much fun compared to GT Sport. And again, just wish we could have been fighting for the win here, or at least the podium. But unfortunately, again, we got taken out on lap number 1, the first chicane, as that's just Monza in a nutshell. So I hope you guys found this video very entertaining. If you guys did, please subscribe and leave a like on the videos. It really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys enjoyed the video, again, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.